Welcome back to another review. The Last of Us, episode 4. That's right. This episode, I would say it was shorter, and the runtime was 45 minutes compared to the first 3 episodes. Alright? And, yeah, but a lot happened within those 45 minutes. They finally made it to Kansas. Roads were blocked. They had to encounter people in that area, right? Although there wasn't much action going on in regards to with the infected. In this episode, it's more of human interaction, people that you have to deal with that's outside of the infection realm, right? And that is one of the things that people have to go through when they're in the zombie apocalypse, in that time, the outbreak time. And those are the things I wonder too, like how we as humans deal with other people, because we deal with that every day in our life, right? We have to have human interaction, but sometimes it doesn't go well. So in this episode, that's what it's portraying is the people now, right? People are imprisoning other people, which is not right. We're supposed to basically help each other out. But what ends up happening is we end up killing each other. We end up shooting at each other because the resources are running out. Food is running out. So they end up killing innocent people, looting whatever they have. It's like, why? Instead of banding together and try to rid of these infections, these infected zombies. And that's what I like about this show, the game that came to be of The Last of Us. Because even if you were innocent people, you guys are going to resort to violence at the end, right? You're going to end up killing innocent people because they have more resources than you do. And that's the sad part, because you got like, everybody has to think about the infected, right? And then on top of that, you have to deal with stupid people, right? They think that they're the law, they can make rules and whatnot, right? Who lives or dies when it comes to things like that. And I don't know, like, how would you guys deal with that? It's going to be a hard life in the long road if there was an infection outbreak, right? But I don't think that's going to happen. But imagine yourself in that situation, right? You'll be hiding from people. You'll be very cautious. You'll be very vigilant on what you guys do, because you don't want to get yourself caught and then they imprison you and then they're going to end up killing you anyways, right? And that's what's going on with The Last of Us, where Joel and Ellie just needed to get to Wyoming. Is that the place that they're supposed to go to, Wyoming, so that they can get to the Fireflies. But in between those, there's obstacles that they got to go through, and that's the thing, right? These obstacles are people, literally people with weapons, guns, ready to kill the innocent, to loot whatever they have. It's the survival of the fittest. And when it comes to things like that, people are easily very violent instantly, just like the world that we live in right now. People don't care about other people. I've seen young people, young teens, punching an old man, an old lady. I've seen people burn other people, even in my own city here. I've watched on the news that somebody doused another person with gasoline and then lit them on fire. I've seen on the news that people threw battery acid on another person's face. I mean, that's very cruel, and that's the world that we live in right now. People do so much harm to each other, and they just don't care what that person is going through. Nobody knows what anybody is going through. So how is that going to be when there was an infected outbreak here in the real world, not on the TV show or in the game, in the real world? And take, for example, COVID-19, right? When coronavirus first came out in 2020, what happened, right? Everybody just became stupid. Everybody just became, just dumb. Like, for example, when people started hoarding toilet paper or toilet tissue, like, what for? Like, is there a lot of asses that you need to wipe during the pandemic, during the outbreak of these infection? Like, seriously, people, these are the things that people worry about. And we don't even have a zombie outbreak, and yet during the pandemic, this is what happened. These are the example of people, fighting over things. And we've all seen it. We've all seen it on the news. The shelves are empty. People are punching each other because they have more than one or two toilet tissue in their cart. And I've seen people do that, and it's crazy. I've seen and I've heard in grocery stores that people are screaming at each other. You have too many of this, you have too many of that. And then they start fighting and bickering at each other down each other's throats, right? And that's the scary part. It's the human people that's scary. It's not the infected. Although you gotta watch out for them, right? If that ever happened here in the real world, you gotta watch out for them. But it's the people that you gotta watch out for, mostly. And it's this episode was a little better because there were actions, there were gun shooting, there were a whole ton of cursing in this show, which I've never heard so much curse words in any other shows compared to this show. Watching the Walking Dead, I didn't hear too much curse words in that show, but if you play the game, there was a lot of curse words in that game also, and then they brought it in the show, the live action show. But what do we take out of this thing, right? What do we learn from this? That people as ourselves, we all panic, and what happens during that panic situation? We end up harming each other, hurting each other. People shooting at each other and screaming at each other. It's nasty. I wouldn't want to live in that world, especially if you have the young kids with you, right? I have a son. I don't want him to be hearing that stuff, and for them to be experiencing that stuff. That's why when Ellie and Joel had that conversation, when Ellie mentioned that she's seen a lot that went on, Joel interrupted her and said, no, you haven't seen what the world is. You haven't seen what goes on in this world, because Ellie's still a young kid. She's 14 in this show, right? And Joel is in his 50s already. I don't know, 55, 56 years old, I think. He mentioned he was around that age. in this episode, you know, and being in that survival mode means you gotta do anything to survive, any means necessary, and that's the harsh thing in reality. And you know, what we're going through now in this life is hard. We're in a recession, where we have inflation that's going on, everything's going up, and people are complaining, or you know, they're depressed, they're, you know, we're all emotionally drained already at this point, and there's really nothing that anyone can do, right? So for us, in this reality of this world, this is the outbreak for us. It's the inflation and the recession that's going on. Now imagine if that was put on with the zombie outbreak. What's gonna happen, right? I would say the extinction of this world, you know, but hopefully it doesn't come to that, you know. But unfortunately, in some places where we live, in other countries, other places, you know, it's come to that. People are being nasty to each other, and there's really nothing we can do about it, you know. Yeah, this episode was a good episode, even though it's a short episode, 45 minutes. You know, a lot of things had happened in that show, but it's good to see that Joel and Ellie is trying to make it to Wyoming and try to survive. And there's not much happened a whole lot, because they ran into to Henry and Sam by the end of the show, the episode, I mean. And I think something big is coming, because when the two people went in the basement, like I'll show you on the clip, the ground or the floor was sunk in and something's moving it. So I think something big is coming, and I can't wait for that. Episode 5, we will see that. So yeah, I mean, it's a great episode, you know. They left Bill and Frank on episode 3, and they traveled long, and yeah, this is where they end up. If you guys play the game, you guys will follow. You know, not a lot of people play the game, so the people who watches the show are a bit confused of what's going on. I mean, you know, just take the time to actually play the game, so that you guys can actually understand how the show is going. You know, a lot has changed. Like I mentioned in the first few episodes, a lot has changed, and yeah. But since it's a short episode, yeah, this video is pretty much short also. That's all I wanted to talk about. But other than that, I mean, you know, we all got to keep each other safe. You know, if something happens like this, you know, have each other's back, and not to be cruel or anything like that to anybody else, because or else this world will not survive. You will not survive in this world. The ones that's going to be running this world is the infected. So yeah, if you are ever in that situation, that's what's going to happen. But yeah, I guess that's it for this review. I mean, there wasn't much to talk about. Just, you know, just the journey between Joel and Ellie reaching their destination, and in between those destinations they have obstacles to go through. But other than that, that episode was good. Had a little bit more actions. Hopefully on the next episode we will be able to see more infected, because I would love to see those ones. and more action on the next episode. Until then, I hope you guys like this video. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't yet. Until next time, I'll see you on the next video.